we have news once again in the NFL. We have a quarterback trade. It's been long thought, where is Baker Mayfield going to end up? As soon as there's that rift and the Deshaun Watson trade, it's going to be, where is he going? Indianapolis, Seattle, Carolina seemed like the logical places. Some people thought maybe he was going to get traded before the draft, and now it was just a matter of time. And was he going to be traded, or was Jimmy Garoppolo going to be traded first? Well, it turns out it's Baker Mayfield, and he's going to the Carolina Panthers, a team that reportedly wasn't interested in trading for him before. I think a lot of that had to deal with his contract, and it came out today that Mayfield is traded. The Cleveland Browns sent him to the Carolina Panthers for a conditional 5th-round pick that could be a 4th-round pick depending on playing time and other incentives that will surely come out later on. This is big news. Big news because the Browns finally moved off of him. Here's a guy that started, was number 1 overall draft pick a few years ago, started for the Browns, took them to the playoffs, won a playoff game with them. Didn't really mesh well with the new coaching staff. They were perfectly fine moving on from him. Baker Mayfield had his moments, played well, but I don't think anyone's going to say, oh yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's a franchise level guy. I mean, he's a solid starter in the NFL, but I think a lot of his, I don't want to use the word antics in that, but I think he just kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and they had that shot at Deshaun Watson, and they decided to make the move. And the fact that I think this move got made because the Panthers took on half of his salary, and the Browns took the other half. They're splitting the cost of his salary, and I think that was the thing that was going to finally make this deal happen was the financials. And for the Browns, I think this is a move that they're going to take. Yes, they're eating a lot of dead cap money, and they've got some of the biggest dead cap money in the NFL, but they needed to move on. They know Deshaun Watson is going to be their quarterback at some point, and as nice as it, logic would have thought, oh hey Browns, why Deshaun Watson's not going to play this year. I mean, we all know that. Why not keep Baker for one more year and just try to win with him while you don't have Deshaun, and then he's a free agent and you can move on from him or whatever. It didn't make sense. They wanted to move on from him. He obviously is not happy with that. He's not going to say, oh, hey, I'll stick around and play another year. So there's a lot of that goes on to it. So they're able to move on to him. They get potentially a 4th-round pick for a player that they didn't want, that they knew they couldn't really cut. And they can move on. And they're going to be, especially if Deshaun Watson's not there, as talented as their roster is, starting Jacoby Brissett or whoever for a whole year, they're going to be pretty bad. They're going to be picking in the top 10 in the 2023 draft. But it's a move they had to make. Now, for the Panthers, this is interesting because what they gave up for Sam Darnold was significant. I mean, they didn't give up a top 10 pick or even a 1st-round pick, but they did give up a 2nd-round pick in addition to other picks. And so that was a pretty big investment. It was an investment that they made that they decided to pass up on other quarterbacks. They could have drafted Justin Fields. They could have drafted Mac Jones, and they passed up on them because they had Sam Darnold. And he struggled last year. And then in the draft, they moved up to get Matt Corral, a guy that I really think was a good fit within their offense. Now, I didn't think Matt Corral was going to come in and be the day one starter and be a franchise quarterback, but I thought I still think he's a guy that could potentially, be a starter and be a solid starter down the league. And I think this move for Baker Mayfield, he's on a short-term deal. And they didn't give up a ton. That's the thing. The Panthers didn't give up a ton of picks or investment. They're only paying half his salary for potentially at most a 4th-round pick. So if Baker Mayfield doesn't work out for them, it's really just kind of a sunk cost. Who cares? Okay. What this deal tells me is that their coaching staff knows that they're coaching for their job. If they had some more security and knowing that, hey, we've got some time, chances are they'd run out Sam Darnold, look at developing Matt Corral, and go that way. Instead, they know that if they don't start winning and they don't win this year, that coaching staff's out. And so by bringing in Baker Mayfield, that's like their last ditch effort. They're saying, hey, this quarterback situation is not what we want. We need to bring in a guy that's shown that he can win in the league to try and save our jobs. And maybe they stick with him for this year. They get him. They like what they're seeing in Matt Corral. Like I said, he's a perfect fit, Matt Corral, in Ben McAdoo's offense. Perfect fit. So maybe they say, hey, we really like him. We really think he can do some things. We need to be able to get to him. And so maybe that's a year, 2 years to get him to develop because, Corral has a lot of talent, but he has a lot of developing to do. And so maybe Baker Mayfield is that safe option. It's saying, hey, let's bring him in. We've got some talent. We got Christian McCaffrey. We've got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. They've got some talent. Why not bring Baker Mayfield in, have him right the ship, get us, to 500, get us not picking in the top 10, maybe give us another year, and maybe Matt Corral's that guy. Maybe Baker Mayfield comes in, this whole situation matures him, gets him refocused, and he's able to come in and revitalize his career. And then they just roll with him. I think those are the likely scenarios for the Panthers. I think this was, in essence, kind of a smart move. Like I said, if Matt Rule and this coaching staff want to stay coaching with the Panthers, they had to make a move at that quarterback position. Now they got Baker Mayfield, bring him in during training camp, bring him in during some OTAs this summer, get him going, and see what they could do. Because like I said, if Rule and this coaching staff doesn't win, they're out. And I think this move is their way of trying to save their jobs.